Hey everybody, this is Drew here. Once again, it's later in the day, and it's the same day I made part one. I figured I would continue here on this dubstep track. Let's just take a listen to it from the beginning just to see where we're at. All right, cool. So I think it's a pretty cool start. I'm not always happy with what I write when I'm streaming or when I'm recording. It takes a lot of practice to not feel the pressure. All right, so first thing I thought when I was listening through is that this first main section gets a little boring. So one thing that would help is to have our drums pick up slightly. Now, this will be kind of a popular sound right now. We've got our swung eighths. Essentially, I am going to do a 16th note pattern. Let's see. Just a little bit more, just to make it feel like it's not a loop repeating. It'll give it some more energy. All right, cool. So moving on here. So this break section. Cool. So let's build some effects for this little section. So first of all, I'm gonna, let's see, where's our serum? There it is. Let's get two new channels for the serum. This is gonna be like an uplifter. And we're gonna build like an impact. All right, cool. I don't think it needs to be super excessive. It's not like I want this to be a really big build-up section. So bear with me. This isn't going to sound right in the beginning. But it's currently the bass instrument. I'm going to go back to a new sound. I'm actually going to work with noise. I think I'm going to build like a sort of a reverse cymbal type sound, if any of you know what that sounds like. So we're basically gonna do something like that and have the pitch go up. It's as simple as this, really. I have the MIDI going for 2 measures, so 2 bars. I'm going to put that on pitch and probably not too much make it a little bit steeper. Cool. That simple. Let's do something with the reverb where we sort of do the opposite. So it's starting in a big space, and then coming out of that space. Cool. It's got a little bit of compression. Cool. And then with our filter, we certainly could add some interesting harmonic stuff. So let's cool, and then let's do a lower one. Cool. All right. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty solid. We could shape it more. Back to Kill the Noise. In one of his videos where he's building snares, he talks about how, I think it's him, he talks about how, you know, no sound is perfect, so the more notches you add can kind of give it a cool flavor. All right, nice, and as always, we can save this. Again, I have my own preset folders, so that's going to be like a riser, and I'll just call this 2-bar white noise. All right, now what's crazy about this is with these settings, you could start to audition like different noises. And essentially, once you've built this serum patch, you have as many different white noise sweeps as there are noises, and there are quite a few of them. All right. Cool. Impacts, one of my favorite sounds. We'll come back and mess with it, just so you know, we're not going to hear that as much because we'll have other stuff going on. Cool, it's in there. Mix-wise, we'll bring it out. All right, so we're in the key of G minor, so the note that we're going to want our impact to hover around is going to be a G. Again, that's our bass patch. All right, so let's start from scratch. Initial preset. I'm gonna use that analog BD sign. It's really cool, like very clean sounding sign. All right, now what we're gonna want to do is create a lot of movement right at the beginning, almost like a kick drum. I mean, an impact is kind of like a percussion sound that's usually got like a ton of reverb and a ton of delay, and it's an atmospheric. So inside of our noise oscillator, we get a lot of cool options. It's not just noises, but it's a wave audio player, like a sampler, so you can actually import in your user folder. You see I have some kick drums and vocal shots and random stuff like that. So you can actually bring in whatever audio you want, and you can use Serum as simple as a simpler in Ableton terms, or a sampler. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for a transient. I'm going to get a kick attack. When I do this, that's cool. It gives it a little bit an extra attack. Let's use our sub. All right. Oh no, did my Logic just crash? My Logic crashed. Let's open it back up. It's funny, I haven't had that happen in a video, unless I'm blanking on that. But it was happened to me yesterday, and I was thinking, oh well, good thing I'm not doing a video right now. Cool. Happens. Nature of the beast. So let's make sure we save. Let's assess this, see where we're at. It looks like it doesn't have anything I was doing to the oscillator B, but everything else is there. So sounds. Let's take that. All right. Reverb. Try compressing the reverb. All right. All right. Some days you got it, some days you don't. All right, I'm gonna come back to that. It'll work for now. All right. Nice. We can use our uplifter again. Let me bounce that in place. Have the audio in there. I could cut it half the time. So, it said big room house. That's where I was thinking we should go with this. I mean, festival-driven dubstep. So, I'm going to use a similar sort of sound that we were doing. But I'm actually going to start messing with the sort of the envelope that we were using. Cool. So, boys and girls that haven't been around the producing world for that long, that sound is referred to as a super saw. Super saws are heard all over Big Room House and is kind of a festival sound, in my opinion. When I hear festival anthem, I think of super saws. All right, cool. So we're going to start adding some drums in here. All right. Cool, so we got this like 8-bar big hook section. I don't know how much drums we want there, but then we're gonna have our full build up. All right, so let me, it's almost dinner time for me. I'm gonna leave you guys with a music theory principle. All right, and in the classical music, if you were to get your classical composition degree in college, they would be talking about a compositional technique used in 18th century classical music and romantic music of the 19th century. Used something called diminution, and diminution, you might have heard words similar, like diminished chord. Diminution is to take a section and make it smaller. This is the music theory principle that comes to mind, or came to mind, when I was first discovering how to create good tension causing buildups. And one thing you'll notice in most, let's say, like commercial electronic dance music, in buildup sections, even in songs with chord progressions, typically the chord progression kind of stalls for a second, and it'll stall on usually the first chord. In this case, we're going to stall on the G minor chord, but it could stall on another chord for a different feeling. But the idea with the reason that creates tension is because we're used to the idea of the pattern of this chord progression that's an 8-bar. It's really like the same chord progression every 4 measures with subtle variation every other time. But our ears are used to hearing the chord progression with those 8 measures. So when we hear the G minor, we're thinking the next chord is about to happen. When that doesn't happen, it makes us uncomfortable, hence the tension feeling. So you can just, like, even without, I'll play the track from the beginning, but I'll keep it going hello. Strange, some sort of input problem. Went out again. Wonderful. All right, cool. It's not like the world's not shut down or anything, or I can't get that fixed. All right, cool. So I'm gonna play it from the beginning, and just notice the tension that you feel during this build-up section. Cool. Here we go. And that, I mean, the tension that is created just from our chord instruments playing one chord over and over again. No drums, no risers, nothing like that. So here is our dubstep track, which isn't really a dubstep track because it doesn't have that screeching wobble basses, but we're not to the drop yet. And there are the subtle talking bass in our verse section is dubstep reminiscent. So here we go. From the beginning, here we go. Do you feel it? That was some tension. Cool. Gosh, part of me wants to go make dinner, but I have one more idea. All right, so I'm gonna do this before it'll make the build up a little bit easier to make next time. So I'm gonna take that super saw instrument. I'm just gonna create an effect really quick. I'm gonna put delay on it. My favorite delay, H delay from Waves. I'm going to put it as, let's see, it doesn't really fully matter, but I'm going to want long feedback. Keep in mind, above noon on most delay feedbacks is going to start to give you actual feedback, so I don't want to go above that. I want to set it to a full measure. I want to separate out this last measure of MIDI, and looks good. No ping pong. I'm just going to bounce that in place. Now the little menu I entered through is where you're going to tell it to bounce the actual trail. So that you get the Descending trail. All right, cool. And then don't forget to turn that delay off. We're just printing in place. For Ableton people, it'd be like flattening. First thing I'm going to do is start the full diminution. I'm going to be cutting this up. And typically these sections get cut in half. You can think of it as you say have the same section, 4 and then 4 and then 4. But since they're half is the length each time, it's getting half the length. Is that? God, it's cutting out. All right, wonderful. Cool. So before I really call this done and figure out what's going on with my mic, I am going to shift the pitch of this down an octave. Let's use Alter Boy. It's kind of a cool one. A little too weird. All right, instead of that, I'm going to use super sound shifter pitch from Waves. It's pretty cool, straightforward. Cool, and then I'm gonna automate a filter on that, so it's not super upfront in the beginning. Cool, now eventually I'm gonna pitch that up as well, probably, and build some other effects. But there you go. We'll call that part 2. We built a super saw. We built some effects. Kind of failed at building an impact, but I'll keep working on that. Always good just sampling audio for impacts. There's a lot of good options out there. But anyway, again, link to my textbook below, my email. Should you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Till next time, I'll try to do these a lot more regularly again. Hopefully I'll make a video tomorrow. I'm also doing one-on-one lessons in my schedule, or via the internet, obviously, because we're on lockdown. But I'm doing one-on-one lessons through Zoom, and my schedule keeps changing. So who knows when I'll have time, but I will. Also feel free to inquire about a lesson or me listening to your music, or if you make YouTube videos, perhaps we can do a collaborative video together. All right, so till next time, talk to you later, guys.